Back on the joys of owning an old car again. Well, I can see that I've got a bit of work. I know that's mostly coming from my gearbox, auto trans, and I've had numerous attempts to find someone that will actually give that gearbox a service without any success, because it's just an old gearbox now. But I took this out, got it running again last time, where the problem was probably a combination of fuel pump and the fuel pump just starving, and then well, I've got two fuel pumps on it. But I also, the last video I put on this, I had this great triumph after all these decades. I put wired back in the ignition switch, and it was a great win. Well, I drove it down to get fuel and went to use the ignition switch, and it didn't actually turn over on the ignition switch, so I ended up doing a real dodge hot wire with a bit of wire that I found left that I hadn't pulled out from under the dash. And then I think there's also ongoing petrol pump problems. So today I'm going to I took out this push button switch here. It was nicely mounted in that bracket, and remove the wiring and a relay because I didn't need it anymore. But of course, what am I going to do today? I'm going to put it back in again, and that way I can drive this with some degree of confidence that if the ignition switch fails to do its thing, I can push the button instead, and then I can work out what's going on over time. And when I get it to the point where it's now, when it's actually reliable again on the ignition switch, figure out, I think that might be the relay inside of it, the starter relay that's playing up, but I'm not sure. But when I'm confident that I've fixed that, I can take my hot wired start switch back out again. And then after I've done that, the next job is to actually deal with removing the front fuel pump, and I'll decide whether to use that fuel pump down the back or just use the one I've got down the back. I think there might be a wiring issue down to the back, I'm not sure, but again, more debugging. But that's just the joy of owning one of these things. So we'll see how we go. Well, here's my beautiful answer to the problem. This is plugged on to where the ignition switch would come from, and then I've just bifurcated here, and that's the connection going down to the starter motor solenoid, and there's the connection coming from the hot wire switch. So I actually wonder if the problem is in this starter relay in here. Yeah, I'm wondering if the problem's in this starter relay here. But now if that fails, I've got this hot wire in from that switch, so I can bypass that. So that, I'm hoping, will bypass the problem enough that I can start working on driving this again. But of course, I need to work on the problem with the fuel pump next, and then I can give it a bit of a test drive. Well, I wasn't going to do anything on this part of the job. I thought I'd just swap this fuel filter. The fuel pump was down here, and so I've swapped the line, and I got the fuel filter was up behind the alternator. I didn't like that, so I've moved it down here, and then I noticed this fuel line was coming through the chassis here, and I thought I'd just swap it, you know, it's all right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But then I started working on it, and then I noticed that is what was going on. This is bent around The actual steel line is here, and it's bent around, and it goes up to here, and that's where it comes through the chassis here. And that's been rubbing on the chassis for, well, I'm going to guess 40 years. And, well, 35 at least. So this is not exactly what I was hoping for. Yeah, that goes through, and it's just poking through there, and then it was on a hard turn, and I noticed that this on the chassis was looking a bit second rate, so I thought I'll go in and have a proper look, and I'm very glad that I did. So yeah, I'll get all of this off and replace it, and I'll see if I can think my way through a better way of terminating. I mean, 35 years, it's a big enough hole over this side that it's coming through, but maybe I need to put something on there, or I don't know. Is it the fact that it turns hard on this side? It doesn't really matter so much, but it's still a good size hole that it's going through. But yeah, I think I might actually do something about that. So this is the line that goes through the chassis. The end of that line is flared, and I'm just having trouble getting the fuel line over it. I'm taking about 1 centimetre off the end of it, so that should get rid of that flare, and then hopefully it'll be all right. Now I've got a bit of a worry because where it's bent here on the corner, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's not creased, but it is feeling a little bit rough. I don't want that to fold too much and break, but I'll cut this off, and I will see if I can get that line all the way on here, and then just push it through, have it hanging out the side of the chassis, and put the put the clamp, the line clamp on there, hose clamp, and it'll sit outside of the chassis. And then I've got some radiator hose that I'm thinking I might be able to get away with putting in there to stop it from bending again, like fraying again. But that's also why I'm doing this, cutting this off, because I don't want the line being cut by the flare on the end. I can feel there's a sharp edge there, and that might have been what caused the problem in the first place. Probably not, but we'll see. Here's the old pump. I made that bracket up, never painted it. Sorry, Dad. And here's the pump that was in the front. So what I'm thinking I'll do is just this bracket here, I'll drill a hole in the same place on that, because that comes down behind a cross member underneath the car, and there's an existing hole. So if I drill the same hole there, and then I can just drill a hole on this end. So I can clamp that on. So I'm thinking that that should probably just bolt straight in. I've already wired this, so it's the same effectively as this. Good enough. And I just have to remember to put something on here to mount that onto. I'll just drill and tap a hole for that too, I think, rather than putting a dirty great big. With this one I ran it underneath that hold down bolt. So I will have a go at that, and we'll see what happens. So here it is. That should just go into the car. I've got that earth strapped onto there. We shall see. Well, here it is. I've got it in, and as soon as I turn it on, she fired. Well, I just hear this pick up and start running, and I could see up the front. Yeah, all I did, I've reused that hole that was there, this one here. Just made this strap, bent it over, and mounted that on. I'm using the same hoses. I've got it more or less in the same place, and I'm using the same wiring. And the filters down there, and I turned it on the ignition. As soon as I did, I heard the pump kick in, and I saw that filling up, and lo and behold, when you've got petrol, it starts. I'm kind of pleased about the way this turned out, because I was actually going down for a special event that I really wanted to get there, and the car had been asked for, and it didn't make it. I was just driving along, actually coming up into an intersection with lights, and she spluttered and starved, and I was pretty sure it was petrol, but I managed to get it going again, but then it wouldn't go, and it was stranded out the front of my mum and dad's place for a month or something, with multiple trips down there. But it really felt like it was starving when it stalled, and yes, that other pump in there that was at the back is not doing any pumping, and so I did mean to get rid of it. It was in there just because, like I said, I was driving to a wedding. This is the trouble with a car like this. People want you to do special things with it, and until you get them really reliable, and here comes the garbage truck. Yeah, people want to get them, you to do special things, but you can't promise to do a special thing if the car's not reliable. So anyway, I put the second pump on, but left the one at the front on as well, and that was a mistake, I think. So anyway, it seems to be running now.